Hello and welcome to my channel. Hi guys, so today I am going to be showing you how I finish a sketch, and I'm going to be doing that today with the help of Skillshare. So shout out so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Thank you so much. So Skillshare is an online learning community. They have thousands of inspiring classes for creative people. You can explore all kinds of new skills. They offer creative classes that are designed for real life, so you can start and stop them whenever you want. There's loads of different topics like illustration, photography, pretty much anything that you can think of. There is so many really interesting things. There's like a bunch of new courses on Adobe Fresco, this digital illustrative typography course. I decided to sit down and take some time to revisit this class that I had previously taken by Sarah Boccaccini Meadows on botanical illustration. I really enjoyed revisiting the class, and I feel like just sitting down and watching the course back through really made me re-inspired and reabsorb some of her techniques a little bit more, especially how she simplified shapes, which was something that I found really helpful. And it's curated specifically for learning, so there are no ads like what you're currently listening to, and they're always launching brand new premium classes. And when you do an annual subscription, it is less than $10 a month. So the first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get a free trial of the Skillshare Premium membership. So yeah, make sure you check that out. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. And now I'm done with my little spiel. I just wanted to get to that done really quickly while we started out the sketch that we are going to finish. So in this video, I am going to show you how I finish a sketch, and I'm starting that by showing you how I draw a sketch. And the first thing that I did was show you those little pencils that I'm using. So these are the Faber-Castell pencils, and I like to use about like 2 or 3 different hardnesses. Normally, I would start with a 4H, but I had lost it for quite some time. So in this video, you see me just use the H and the 2B. And I'll start with a very quick light under sketch, and that's where I'll use the harder pencils for. And then I'm going to go in with just a kneaded eraser because these are perfect for lightening that sketch. And I'll lift up, and this is how I'm able to be really messy and just build my sketch up in a bunch of different layers. Then I'm going to use that 2B pencil, which is a little bit darker and a little bit softer. And I can go in and do more finalized kind of lines or a final sketch, if you will. And that's where I'm going to add in more details, more shading, and where I will really kind of start to shape the sketch and have it come to life. I do this for pretty much any sketch regardless of what I'm drawing. For this video, I wanted to show a variation of different techniques. So on the left, I have a much more simple page of just some kind of little doodles that I did. And then on the right, I have a little bit more of a detailed illustration or drawing that I did. So I wanted to show you that this is the techniques that I'm gonna show in this video are things that I use for pretty much like anything in my sketchbook. And there's a lot of different advantages to what I'm going to show you, but the biggest advantage and the reason that I do it is not just that it kind of like elevates your sketches a little bit and kind of like finishes them and can give you, like an aesthetic of the color that you kind of want that sketch to be, but primarily for me is that it seals the graphite and it stops them from smudging. So that is like the real advantage to me to kind of finishing my sketches this way, other than the fact that it kind of just like makes them pop and really adds some more color and brightness to my sketchbook. It just like helps me. I hate when you go through your sketchbook and your sketches are just smudged and smeared all over each other. It drives me nuts, and for posterity, I just much prefer to do this. So in the sketch at this point, you can see I am just kind of really going in with my 2B pencil and getting in all of the details. For this sketch, I wanted to do a little like autumn kind of girl, autumn vibes, with some fall leaves and then this like bird. And so I just really went in with the detail, and I will add in shading and stuff with my pencils. And I'm just overall cleaning up those lines and defining the picture a lot more and just really like getting all of the details in that I want, essentially, finishing everything up. And once the sketch is looking good, I grab some paintbrushes. So I use really large paintbrushes. I use 1.5 inch or 1 inch. These are both by Princeton. And for paints, I'm going to be using these paints by Kiritaki. I know I pronounced that wrong and I'm so sorry, but I like these because they have really big pans. So I can use really like big brushes and just really quickly apply it. And that's going to minimize like any smearing and streaks. And I'm going to take that watercolor paint and apply it over the top of the whole sketch as you just saw. And then I go in and I add in some little like color bleeds with other colors. And you can even add in metallic colors, which I really, really enjoy. And just doing something as simple as that will finish and seal your entire painting. And it just like elevates it just a little bit, I feel, and elevates it. I feel like I sound like a douche. But I feel like you can really use it to get a like more sense of what you're painting. So for the little plant, I just layered over a little bit of green on the leaves of the plant because it's a plant and it was green, but I'm not really like, shading or building up a whole lot of like painting. I'm just kind of like adding in light little bits of color here and there. On the feather, I'm going in with some watercolor pencil. I use the Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils. They're my absolute favorite watercolor pencils. I'm going to use them really heavily in the painting on the right as well. I love these also for when you're like quote, quote, finishing a sketch after you've added in the water. I love going in with watercolor pencils on top and adding in little bits of detail. I also like to add in white highlights on top. I'm going to be using this Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen in white to add highlights. Adding highlights works great because you've added the color on top, so you can then go in really easily with white. So these are the watercolor pencils that I was telling you about, and I'm going to use them to go in and add a lot more detail to this painting on the right. So you saw me use the watercolor pencils in more of a simple way on the left to add a little bit of shading to the pot that the plant was in and define the feather and the little like rock, whatever, crystal more. But over here, I'm using it to fill in all of these different leaves, and I'm using a lot of different colors of watercolor pencil. And I really, really love combining watercolor pencil with graphite sketch. I think it looks so beautiful and it really does help seal the graphite. When you add water to it, it's just like color explosion and it's so fun and it's really satisfying. And I feel like doing this just kind of helps bring your sketch to life in a really simple and kind of easy way. I don't really stress about shading or anything. I'm just kind of like coloring things in with watercolor or watercolor pencil. And I think it just really helps to take the sketch to kind of the next level. And it's just nice. And what I'll do is like, usually I don't do this after I finish a sketch. Like I'll finish a sketch and then I'll wander away. And a lot of the times when I'm nearing the end of my sketchbook, I'll actually just go back through my whole sketchbook and I'll like find sketches and I'll just paint watercolor over them. Another one that I like to use is the Viviva color sheets. Those work really well because they're like large and flat. So any kind of like large flat pan is really helpful because you can really like get a lot of the paint. I feel I've said like so many times. I'm sorry, I feel very rusty recording audio right now, but I'm hoping that I'm explaining this technique and why it's like, or why I find it beneficial well anyway. So I'll go through and I'll do it to my whole sketchbook towards the end, and I feel like it transforms my sketchbook and it makes me really happy. And I don't know, I don't know, it's just something that I like to do, and I thought that it would be something that I would enjoy sharing with you. So I'm going back in with more watercolor pencil over the top. I use a lot of watercolor pencil layers. Sometimes I will just use the watercolor pencil literally to kind of like touch up or darken the like lines in some areas, darken the graphite. Sometimes I won't even add water to it. Sometimes I'll apply it when the page is just a little bit damp. I'm using this really dark sepia to fill in the kind of twigs in her festive harvest crown. And it's getting to the point where it's pretty close to being done here. I'm just really going in and adding colors just to select details. I add a little bit of watercolor pencil, and I really like to do this with faces. Just kind of either pink or orange or red to the eyes, lips, a little bit to the tip of the nose, and I just kind of blend that in. And I feel like a lot of times that will really help add a little bit of life to your sketch as well. And you can make this as complicated or as simple as you want it to be. So I tried in this example to show you some ways that I did it like more simply, like on the left, and ways that were more complex, like on the right, where I kind of took a sketch and made it into a little bit more of a finished piece, but in a kind of simple way. But there's so many different ways that you can do it. And I'm going to show you a couple of different examples throughout my sketchbook of where I have done it. So for in this part, I just literally just threw some purple on top, and some I added a little white highlight, but that was it. Here you can see I'm literally just sealing it with colors, but then in other cases, I will use the colors to kind of separate out what I would kind of like want it to look like without really adding too much shading, but just kind of like, you know, almost like sketching with paint. Like I feel like sketching is so confined to pencil, so sketch with paint. Anyway, hopefully this helped. Hopefully you liked this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring it. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.